next Delfina. Delfina Rodriguez de Silva from BSF, who will be sharing her journey in the role of chance and choice in my AM journey. I will just bring her up on the stage and we can start. Just a reminder to everyone, you are able to ask questions in the Q&A section to the side. And take it away, Delfina.
All righty. Thank you so much. I think this should be it. All right. Everyone hear me? I'm guessing yes. All right. So my name is Delfina Rodriguez de Silva. Today, I will be talking about the role of chance and choice in my AM journey. I am currently an application technology engineer at BSF3 Training Solutions. And as my name says, I'm originally from Portugal. So that's where I did my middle school and my high school experience. And eventually I went into university. I studied at Clarkson University in upstate New York. And I studied aeronautical and mechanical engineering. And for some people who might think that, yes, the STEM fields are indeed places where we have a lower female ratio. For me, it had already started during high school by being one out of 5 girls in a 25 people classroom when I chose science and technology track. It was when I was 1 out of 12 people in my physics class. And eventually I was 1 out of 3,000 students as a Portuguese person. And it was always about finding this balance between the uniqueness that I bring to the table and what can the environment give to me. And I took that further into my AM culture. And it is about recognizing that we bring all these different positions and all these different backgrounds into 3D printing. And we can do so much more together once we have a diverse array of people. But what I also learned as I was in university was the paper of mentorship. So the mentorship for me is the chance to meet someone that you previously didn't know for whatever reason, and the choice to keep them in your life and the choice that they make to also present themselves and keep themselves in our lives. So in my case, it was right in the university with Miss Brown. So Miss Brown was the person that kept me at Clarkson in a way, because as I was finding this uniqueness and how to fit into this university, it is also about people that tell you like, it's going to be okay. And in that sense, she guided me to Professor Martinez as well, which was at the time and still is a professor at the university. And his focus was structures. And by chance, that was also my passion, was aerospace structures, which also guided me then to Megan Walker, which was the first person that introduced me to 3D printing in general. And that today I work at BASF3 Printing Solutions, and I have Dr. Fisher guiding me through my professional career. But it's always this array of people that have had an impact in my life personally that I find so insightful. And even in AM is important for us as women, as people, to really connect with each other and help each other. So for me, as I mentioned, Professor Martinez was the person that was connected to structures. TU Delft was not my first choice when I went to my exchange program, but sometimes, you know, things also happen a bit by chance. And this Professor Martinez, had a connection to TU Delft. And out of all the projects that were possible, because I had an honors research project to finish, and for me was all about, you know, getting the credits and finishing because my passion was aerospace engineering. I had the opportunity to work in 3D printing for the first time. And for me, 3D printing was not the technology that like rocked my world right away. So for me, 3D printing was a technique used to get lighter structures with high stiffness, high strength, and therefore these lighter weight structures meant there would be less weight in the plane. This less weight in the plane meant less fuel. This less fuel meant a more sustainable aviation. And that was really the trigger for me in 3D printing. But once I started in 3D printing, it was really about like, how can we further take this? I read Ashby and Gibson, which became my king and queen. I took the Cellular Solids book as my Bible, and it was really a journey to know what is 3D printing really about and how can we further improve it. So I started in fracture toughness in metamaterials that was made out of SLS, and getting to know the technology, getting to know what this is about, where do we see the applications was the main point of this project. But it truly opened my brain to so many other things, because it was a result by chance of all the projects that were out there, to choose this one and to have someone so important such as Megan that really guided me through this process and really taught me this is what 3D printing is. And it was really important for me to also see already a woman working in this area and seeing like the possibilities, because once you see that representation at a higher level, you see like it is feasible and it is possible and we can do it. And that is where I think also my passion for 3D printing came about, not only for the project itself, but with the people that you work and the ecosystem that you have. Nonetheless, such as all good things come to an end. And I had to go back to Clarkson University to finish my degree, because in the US, we have a 4-year degree. So what is next? I mean, these are people, we are young people of 22 years, 21, and we're like, is it a co-op that we want? Is it an internship that we want? Is it a job that we want? So for me personally, what fit at the time was, let's do grad school. 3D printing had a certain positioning in my life, but I was at heart still aeronautical mechanical engineer. So that was what I was coming back to. And I had also applied for a 3D printing project, which I wasn't accepted to. And I think it's also important to mention that there is a lot of gain that we have, but there are a lot of losses in our stories as well in 3D printing, and not everything goes as we wish it to go. So for me was, okay, grad school in September of 2020. And therefore I was looking for an internship now. Nonetheless, once I got to the internship area, I was really looking for 3D printing because this was a 3-month experience. I really loved the technology. I knew I was coming back to my engineering background, but this was something I wanted to have experience with. And once I was looking into the statistics, I saw where I fit in, which was I only applied for positions that was 100% a fit. And that is a lesson that I learned with this precise study. And Cheryl did such a good job in putting it out there, because I was this person and I thought I was the only person. And apparently a lot of women do this. And it's important to put out there that if you see a position and you're not 100% the position match, apply for it. Take your chances, because the thing is, it is your choice to apply, and you're never going to have a yes if you don't make that decision. And then the company does take a chance on you, does put some investment on you, and you learn by doing. I think in AM especially, that we have very fast pace and problem solving mentality. It's about trying and giving it a go. And if you are 100% of the match, what is the learning curve that you're actually making in that company? What are you giving further, or what is the company giving to you further? So really take the chance when you're not like that 100% and see what happens. Because for me, it worked out. And I ended up in the Netherlands again because I had really enjoyed my experience. I had my internship that was focused on fiber filled materials this time and FDM. So I moved to another technology. I moved to a new set of materials. And for me, it was really to be a part of 3D printing. I didn't really care about which part of 3D printing, what is the main goal. But I had the opportunity to work with honeycomb structures in aerospace, SLS. Now I was doing 3D printed honeycomb structures in fiber filled materials, all of it with the intent to be in aerospace. But it was ultimately exploring these different sides of 3D printing. And another thing that we learned besides the whole technological part of it is the kind of environment do we want? So for me as a Gen Z, it might be a bit controversial to say corporate is great. But the reality is, whatever fits to your standards after your first experience, you learn a lot. And if a startup environment is what you choose and what you're looking for, very well, go for it. You like the fast pace, you like the rapid cycles, you like changing directions every once in a while. But if you are passionate about also the knowledge and the legacy that you bring and whatever change you can bring to the table, there's no shame in that, especially as young people, to just try and see where it takes us. And for me, that was exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for somewhere that already had some background knowledge, but within like a familiar environment, within I could go to the office and feel very welcomed and work in a team and really see my input. So this was initially my 3-month plan, right? That I had meet these people, have a great time, go back to the US. But this is August of 2020. And this is aerospace engineering going downhill really fast. This is 3D printing going up really fast. These are new opportunities. These are new times. And there are things that you just simply don't have something on it. They just happen. And we just have to take the hit and see where it takes us. And for me, coming back to the US, because I was in the Netherlands, was a huge logistical process. COVID didn't help either. So I switched paths and I was like, why not a job? And therefore, by choosing a job, I said goodbye to perhaps a lot of other opportunities. I said goodbye to my grad school, which I later deferred from. And that's all right too. Because out of everything, you can choose only one thing and you are saying no to the others, but perhaps in a later stage, you'll come back to it. And that is all right as well, because there's no perfect timing for anything. And it really depends on the person. And it's all right to choose something today and choose another one tomorrow. But it's all about trying and being able to let go. So eventually I went on my job search. And once again, it was not about the location for me. It was not about the 3D printing technology. I need to do this one. It was about trying and being a part of this ecosystem and really look for an environment where I felt welcomed and I felt like I could make a difference. And for me personally, I found that at BASF 3D Printing Solutions. So even though I remember perfectly people looking for a 1 to 3 year experience. That was like one of the points that they had. And here I was after an internship, but the willingness to learn, the ambition to, be a part of this change in the revolution, it's really what matters sometimes. And it's really what brings so many people to 3D printing is the willingness to question everything around us. So I ended up at BASF 3D Printing Solutions. And for some of you who might wonder, what is BASF 3D Printing Solutions? We are a material manufacturer and we make polymer powders, we make polymer filaments, metal filaments, photopolymers. And you see this array of materials, but you don't see is where are the machine manufacturers? Where are the end users? And this is a thing that I believe that it doesn't matter how big you are. The reality is that we are in this ecosystem together. Personally, I am an application engineer. So I work with the machine manufacturers to get our materials certified, to get our experience to the end user to be as easy as possible. And it's really building this cooperation and believing in this open innovation that we get there. But it's also a matter of choice on the corporate level. Who are we choosing? Do they have the same vision as we do? And there's nothing wrong in asking. Like, as I said, the note is already there. So it's about trying. It's about growing together. Because as material manufacturers, yes, we still need high temperature printers. We need flexible printers. We need these niche printers to work with us, but we also need to be able to have these different materials to give the printer manufacturers and to the end user. When they say we need the requirement A, B, and C, we need to say like we have A and B, we might be working towards C, or we are willing to cooperate with you. So really this cooperation on the corporate level and business level, I think it also translates quite nicely into the personal level. So as I mentioned, people come and go by chance, they show up in your life, but it is our choice to keep them around us. And this full circle, such as AM, that is so fast paced and always on the go, also when it comes to personal relations. So for me personally, I closed this circle of mentorship with my first mentee. I had Andrew that came with the same background as I did, and I thought this was going to be fine. But as some people think that giving gifts is something so much better than receiving gifts, I also find mentorship something along that path. I find being a mentor to someone is something so rewarding and humbling because we think we are teaching or like guiding them towards something better. And the reality is they also teach us so much more. And we can keep them in that regard. And we can choose to keep them in our lives and see where they're going. And whether that is in the AM's ecosystem or outside, eventually AM will catch up with them because Andrew's case is that eventually he decided to do research in AM. But even if people decide to go into the production floor, is seeing AM as a possibility, is recognizing that this is a manufacturing technique. And this is something that we may use for jigs and fixtures, for parts, for small batch production. It is a possibility and it is there, and we should take advantage of it. In addition to all the other possibilities and already conventional manufacturing techniques. And by building this, I also had the opportunity then 1 year, 6 months after, to write my first recommendation letter. And as a mentor, it's really rewarding to see someone grow and think of you when they are taking the next step and where should they go or how can you further help them? Because I do believe that in AM, you can only grow if we grow together. And in addition to all this work with people, with corporations, I was like, how can we further the role in AM? How can we further grow? Where is AM going in this maturing cycle? So I reached out to my own mentors for my recommendation letters as well, to Dr. Fisher, to Professor Martinez, like this is perhaps my path, and they fully supported it. And some might think like, what does engineering management has to do with AM? But it is about the strategy, the choices that we make to be able to reach a maturity level in FDM and SLS and so many other important parts of this ecosystem. How can we make better partnerships? How can we create innovation at a faster pace, at a more customizable way? Because 3D printing is all about giving at a smaller number, but in a more customizable way. And therefore, I decided to do my master's in engineering and management online while I work. And in this master's, I had the opportunity to work and to have this class called strategic management. So strategic management was about the strategies that you make in corporate business and everything else. And we had this one debate called the chance versus choice in company management. And the reality is, I saw the type broadcast out there, like we are looking for people. And I had this debate, and it was truly the triggering point for me and the chance of it happening in my life, and the opportunity that I have to provide another insight from a younger perspective, from an engineering perspective, from the FDM industry especially, to come out here and to really give what has chance and choice has given to me as a person as well. And therefore, I saw a year ago the debate, and I was like, yes, we are submitting this and we're going for it and see where it takes us, because it is about starting somewhere. It is about asking questions and asking questions in a manner that makes your mentor or the person that you're questioning also think about it. It's about defying the conventional. It's about questioning, where are we going? Where do we come from? And what are we doing right now? And how can we further improve it? So in that sense, and in the questioning round, I finished my presentation and I'm open for questions as well for whoever has them. And that is pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Delfina. Just a reminder, we have a couple already, but if you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the Q&A section, which you can find on the right of your screen. You can also, as a reminder, upvote questions that you would like to have answered if you see something that interests you. I do not currently see any votes, so I will just ask some of the questions that are there. The first question is, how would you advise students, especially to start looking for mentors? What should they focus on?
So I think the fact that the students are really already in this platform, I mean, there's so many people out there, and you can literally ask anyone for help, where to start, where to go. And I don't think anyone in the AM industry is going to tell you, like, I don't want to be reached out. But I would say, especially if you find a company and perhaps you find a younger person that has gone through the trouble that you have had recently, or that you're having, because I just started 2 years ago. Like, I know what it's like to look for a job, especially during a pandemic that has become so hard. I know what it's out there to look for some sort of foundation. And I think Women in 3D Printing is a great network in these events, because personally, I haven't really had the chance to be out there and to meet a lot of people in the AM. So really using these platforms such as Women in 3D Printing, and reaching out through LinkedIn to perhaps younger folks that have gone through this, to ask, like, what is next? Like, what should I do? What is missing in my resume that you perhaps think might be the way to go forward? In addition to that, reaching out as well to your professors. I think I was a part of a smaller university. I understand it's quite easier to reach out to professors in that sense, but start early and start asking questions. And doesn't matter where you start, but starting somewhere. So ask a professor if they have a research department, or if they're doing research in somewhere else. And sometimes they also have like PhD students or master students that if you're in a bachelor level, I really feel like there's a lot that one can give in that sense and can bring out to just put you through your bachelor degree. Because for me, for instance, Megan, she was a PhD student at the time. I was a bachelor student, and it was about going through this process of like just finishing my bachelor. Like, this is not going right, or perhaps you didn't do so well in an exam. And it's really reaching out and seeing, like, she's here and she went through exactly the same thing. So it's really with the environment around us, I think, that we need to start somewhere, or reaching out through LinkedIn to a random person is also an option these days. But yeah, I think that's it.
Great answer. And then, just because it's related, so might as well stay on the same topic. Did becoming a mentor yourself change your own relationships with your mentors? How different was it on the other side?
I think it gave me such a new perspective. My professor, I always told him, like, oh my God, I want the highest GPA I can get. Like, I need a job after I graduate. Like, it's so hard out there. And he's like, your GPA is great. Like, you're doing great. I never truly believed it until I was on the other side and we're like recruiting, and we're like, do you actually need a 4.0? Like, I want to see your work methods. I know you have your diploma, you work hard for it, but I want to see, what are your soft skills? Can I work with you? Can I mold you? Can you learn from me? Can we learn from each other? So definitely, like, being on the other side is definitely a huge responsibility, because everything you do is kind of like, is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? And sometimes you even reach to your own supervisors and your own mentors. And it's like, because when Andrew wrote his thank you note, I was like, oh my God, like, I had done the same thing like 3 years ago. And I reached out to Megan once again, like 2 years after, saying I had my first mentee, and it was honestly such a pleasure to work with him, to be with him, and to see the results. Thank you so much for the teaching moment that I had 3 years ago, because it taught me how to be a better mentor as well. And I know it's hard, and I know how it is out there now. And I really sympathize with you. And I can only say thank you for everything that you've done for me and in my journey. So I think, yeah, definitely the way we are on the other side of the table will change the way we think about things, and the way we also teach things.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense, especially, getting the new perspective. So the final question I have, though, again, feel free to ask any questions you might have in the Q&A section if you think of something else, is how important would you say it is to be flexible in your career path based on your own experiences?
Flexibility has been a key component. Like, I cannot tell enough, like, just go out there. If I've never had the dream of working for a company in a position in my entire life, I think everyone's like, what's next? And I'm like, I don't know what's next. I plan, and the 5-year question, where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years? Personally, I don't have that focus on the 10-year goals. I want to grow. I want to see. But my path so far has changed so much from the experiences that I've had that I cannot plan 10 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
So for me, being flexible meant going from Portugal to upstate New York. I mean, I had never gone below zero. Let's be real here. So I was willing to try and to experiment and see, do I like it? Do I keep myself there? When it came to my internship, it was like, I just want to do 3D printing, end user application, machine manufacture, material manufacture. Let's see what sticks. Let's see what works. Let's see what the future holds for me as well. Make that decision to apply and to see where it takes you. And wherever they also take that chance on you, go for it and learn from it. Because I think it's important to recognize what we like and what we're good at. But I think it's equally important to see what we don't like and what we're not good at. And in the same manner that a company is usually interviewing us, I think it is important to recognize that we are interviewing the company as well as we go. And yes, we are flexible, and yes, we can work in different locations, different environments, but there are a couple of things that you are really good at that moment in life. Perhaps in 10 years, you'll be more comfortable in another set, startup versus corporate again. But at that moment, if you're looking for a smaller environment, perhaps a smaller environment anywhere in the world might be an option. Perhaps the corporate environment is really structured, and the knowledge and the know-how there is what you're passionate about. And that is also a right. There might be a couple of things that people do focus, but do keep a broad range of location, of opportunities, because I think that's truly what makes the candidates stick out, because that flexibility translates to your workflow as well. And in AM especially, it's a very hands-on industry. So you are supposed to have that problem solving, that challenge mentality, that, okay, we're going to give it a go and see if it works. If it's not, this is groundbreaking. And that is the reality of it. So I think it's important to recognize those 2 points and really give it a go and keep that flexibility in the AM industry, at least.
No, that's I agree. That's very true. Well, I do not see any more questions, so I guess in that case we will start wrapping up. It's about time anyway. Thank you so much, Delfina, for your presentation, and I will just share my screen. We will be moving on to Eleonora Santakia, sorry, Eleonora, for her presentation. Bye. For her presentation, describe yourself in 3D words. That will start in just a minute. I'm just going to give us a little bit of time to have people who want to come in to start on time. And just so you know, immediately after Eleonora, we have moved our speaker from last block, Ashkan, to this next one. So just so you know, there will be another presentation after Eleonora. And I will bring you on stage. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Well, I'll stop sharing and I'll let you start.
Okay. All right. So, pleasure to be here. Good morning and good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Hope you're seeing my screen. Good morning, everyone. It's seriously a great pleasure to be here today. I am Eleonora Santecchia. And where do I come from? I come from Italy. And I was born in a very small town where you see the red flag. And it's so small that I had to write the name by myself because Google Maps wasn't showing it. And I'm actually working in Ancona, in this beautiful university, the Marche Polytechnic University, as assistant professor in metallurgy. But also I am the vice president of SphereCube, which is an academic spin-off of my university and is a startup. And I'm about to show you by the end of this presentation, what do we do in our startup and why is it so important for me and for my path. Is it the key thing showing you how small was my town? I think it is, because all the story starts from here. 3D words. I decided to use these 3 words: dedication, defeat, development. And these are the 3 chapters that I will run you through. The first one day, is dedication. If you look for the meaning of dedication, you'll find it quite easily, and it is about being committed to a task or purpose. But what I love about the word dedication is that one of its synonyms is enthusiasm. I've always been a very enthusiastic person, human being, since the beginning. And I was in this very small town surrounded by hills and nature. And all I wanted to be when I was young was a rock star. In my hometown, your free time can be used to do 2 things. Either you play soccer or you play in a band. And despite the fact that I was quite a good soccer player, I decided to go for the second option. And together with my closest friends, my dearest friends, we put up our rock band. We were quite good, the Checkpoint Charlies. And why am I showing this to you? It's because for us, this was the first experience as entrepreneurs. Because if you think about it, we had to schedule our meetings, we had to set up goals, we had to work to find out locations for our concerts, for the gigs, and we had to be focused during our rehearsals because we wanted to have success. And great things, we had talent and skills. We had a great passions, and the foundation of our band was a very strong friendship. But it turns out that we are not playing anymore, and despite the fact that we published 1 album, 1.5, I can say, we didn't reach any remarkable success. So what happened? It happened that we didn't have a clear plan, and we were not willing to compromise. There was this brand which was interested in us, and they asked us to make some changes, and we were like, no way. We are not making the song shorter. We are not changing the way we play. We are not changing our name. We are not doing anything, because that's our nature. That's our identity. And also, we have different interests. We were all studying different things at school, and then after that at the university. So we wanted to have success, but we were not really focusing on this. This was not our first goal. So I have to say that we had a bit of lack of commitment. We were waiting for things to happen instead of pursuing them 100%. So what do you do when plan A doesn't go as you wish? You go for plan B, which in my case, I was very good in writing, poetry, piano playing, and my biggest flaws were math and calculus. So it totally makes sense to enroll in mechanical engineering. So why did I do that? I still asking myself as I saying this to you, why did I do that? I did this because I wanted to improve my knowledge. I wanted to enrich myself. Everyone around me was telling me to go for literature or history, but I was like, no, I know I'm good at writing. I know the things I'm good at. I want to see what happens if I put myself in the most uncomfortable position, that is going for the things you're not good at. Can you improve yourself? This opened my views. This made me get in touch with some of the greatest persons that I've met in my life, and that actually became my mentors, as Delfino shows, and they are key persons in your life. And this gave me a huge motivation, because I wanted to show everyone that I was more than a pretty good writer. I could have been more than that. And not only this, I actually enrolled in, let's say, the less girly thing in the world of academia, probably. And everyone in my town was like, you're a girl. What are you supposed to achieve in mechanical engineering? That's a man thing. Well, there's nothing in the enrollment paper that says that you should be a man to do that. And not only I succeeded in finishing my academic course, but it actually gave me the possibility to enroll for PhD and then for a postdoc, which brought me on the other side of the world. So from my small town to Qatar, I went to Doha for a 2 years postdoc, and that was the experience that totally changed my life, my point of view, and the way I was, my world was shaping. And again, I was a married woman from a very small town, which basically left the family to work in Middle East. Actually, my husband, which is still my husband, thank God, he was very supportive. And he was the one who pushed me to go there. And well, what happened there? It happened that I learned to be open to criticism, to change my point of view, to not be so strict, so directed. I learned to listen, to really listen to the others. And this was a very powerful, very powerful experience. And this brought us to the second chapter, the second D, which is the fit. In this case, I wasn't the one who defeated somebody, but I was the one who was defeated. This guy right here is one of my dearest friends. I met him at the university during the mechanical engineering lessons, and he came to me one day with an idea which could have changed the world of glass as we know it right now. And he was looking for somebody to help him. He was going through a lot in his life. I was going through the hardest moment of my life so far. So both of us needed something to focus our energy and our positive vibes on, something that could have saved us. And we founded Ice Glass. And it was, let's say, the second entrepreneur experience of my life. And we were really working towards our goals. We were really doing our best to reach our final goal. And we tried our best. We won a business plan competition. We had a brilliant idea. We have our strong friendship, but we didn't succeed. And not only we didn't succeed, we reached absolutely nothing. And I'm still ashamed in saying this. I mean, once you go for an option, once you found the company, you make a plan. You wish you will reach some goals. But I found out that wishing is not enough. And what did we do? It's again a rookie mistake, which is not planning clearly our moves. And again, I found myself doing the same mistakes that I did with my rock band, basically. Because we were again, not willing to compromise. We discussed for years about IP. I wanted to write the patent. He didn't want to write it. And we remained stuck there. And that's very sad, because it could have been a great thing. And we also had different interests. At that time, I was working in Doha. I was working in Denmark. And we had a difficult time to match ourselves. So we can say that there was also this kind of lack of commitment again, which is really upsetting from my point of view. Actually, this was one of the first time that I really started to consider 3D printing, because to realize the structures that we were talking about, there was no other way than going for 3D. And I started studying really with high intensity 3D printing in that occasion. So still something good came out from that experience, but it still burns. I cannot lie, it still burns that we didn't really reach our goals. And I make it very short because it still really burns. But this brings us to the last D, the 3D development. Development as a synonym, as evolution, growth, maturing. And the quote that I decided to put for this third D comes from Evolution song, actually, back to rock. And is never let your fear decide your fate. This is a sentence that keeps sounding in my mind. It's like I should have put a tattoo on my skin, but I think I don't need it because it's in my head. Because if you let your fear decide your fate, then there are going to be opportunities that you will miss. In my case, if I let fear decide in my fate, when these two guys, Alessio and Valerio, came to me saying, we have this idea, would you like to join our project? If I was still afraid of failing, I would have said just, no, thank you, I'm done. It still burns. I'm done with it. But I didn't. I said, yes, I want to. I'm looking forward to see what's your idea. And less than a year after we shut down the ice glass company, I found myself signing the papers to open the startup SphereCube. And look, you see, this is the second picture with people having this large check, because these guys won the same competition that we did. So it's like history repeating. But now we are not going to repeat the same mistakes. I'm not going to repeat the same mistakes. What are we doing with our startup? We are addressing the composite industry issues. We are addressing problems like expensive production, high time to market, low flexibility, and high skilled labor. And to do so, we developed the system, a 3D printing system, which is able to use high performance material, which is able to reduce the amount of production scraps and to reduce time to market, increase flexibilities, and take the best that you can from 3D printing and bring this into the composites world. And we're doing it with a system that is not, it's not a wish, it's not just an idea, but we have a clear mission and a clear vision. We aim to reduce the environmental impact of composite production by reducing the use of molds and by reducing processing scraps. And we know we can enhance the sustainability of the entire manufacturing sector by exploiting 3D printers, which are less energy consuming and which can use biocompatible materials. And we have the aim of building a supply chain which is 100% sustainable. we know exactly who we are, where we're going, what do we want to do. And we're doing so, going for IP. This time, we are all aligned and we want to go to protect our idea, and we are patenting our technology, which is actually using thermoset resins and continuous fiber reinforcement. This is, as you can see on the left, the typical patent design and graph. And on the right, what we aim to achieve by this year, our 3D printer ready to run, ready to work. This is the team. These two guys are the ones who are brilliant and which dragged me to this experience, this new experience. And as you can see, the team is quite large, and we are bringing on board more people. It is real. This time it is real. And 3D printing is making this real for us. So now I don't have the red square because right now we don't have anything red. We are working on our issues. We know what they are. But this time I can confidently say that we have a brilliant idea and we are committed to develop and to do the work. And we not only have a convincing business plan, but we are continuously improving it. We have a strong bond between us members because we work together, but it's not just that. It's not that we are friends, but we push each other. We continuously put each other in uncomfortable positions. We are open to criticism. Now we are ready to listen to the critics and to make changes to our idea, to our business plan, to some things. But we are not changing our identity. We are changing the way we are going to reach our goals. And last but not least, we are a very team. Differences are our added value. What happened at this point of my life is that I'm actually putting together my talent, which was writing. I still have it. And the knowledge that I acquired during all my path. I have the chance to put them together and to use them within this startup, within SphereCube. And a small thing that happened, but not so small, when I was in Doha, 2015, I was running in the Corniche, which is this beautiful bayside sidewalk. And while I was running, I was overtaken by a boy which was running using these external prostheses, the flex-foot cheetah. And it was like the wind was carrying him. It was like he was the most beautiful and incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. He was running beautifully, elegantly, much more than I was. He was faster than me, and he was so happy to do it. He was smiling at everyone. And I had to stop myself because seeing that, for me, it was like seeing and believing that anything is possible in life. Anything. And what I love is that it can't be a casualty. That right now, one of the business cases we are using in our SphereCube startup is this external prosthesis, the flex-foot cheetah. Now, we know that with our system, we can reduce the time of production of this prosthesis, and we can definitely make them much more affordable for anyone who wants to use them. So we are working towards this goal, and this tells me that there is a line in life, and nothing happens as a casualty. Everything happens for a reason. Everything. And with this, I will I want to leave you with one question that I had to face quite recently, actually. My older son is 4 years old, and during Christmas, we were quarantined. There was not a good mood in the family, I have to say. And one evening, I was putting him to bed, and he asked me the question, is Santa Claus real? And I had to stop myself. I had to really force myself not to give a stupid answer or a, I don't know, not valuable one. I took my time. I smiled at him, helped him to get into his pajamas, and then I told him this. I said, listen up, son. In life, whatever you believe is real, it is. If you believe that Santa Claus is real, then he is real. You are empowering him. You are bringing him to life. I said, do you believe in monsters? He said, no, mommy. I said, okay, then we don't need to look below your bed to check if a monster is there. Because if you don't believe in them, they have absolutely no power on you. They do not exist. And while I was saying this to him, I was reminding myself that whatever we believe is going to make sense. That we are free to choose what are we empowering. So we have to make sure that every day we are choosing the right things, the people, the knowledge, the lesson, everything that makes us closer to our goals. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. I invite you to visit the SphereCube website and to follow us on social media. And I'm also open to any possible question you might have after this crazy presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eleonora. It was wonderful. And I see that we already have some questions. Feel free to keep putting them in. If we have time, we'll answer as many as possible. And upvote as well any questions you would like to have answered. So the first question I see is, if you had a favorite D, what would it be?
I think it would be defeat, because it was a hard time. Also, telling everyone that you have been defeated, that you failed, is not easy. And also, when we started to work as a startup with SphereCube, my friend Valerio asked me, what was wrong? What went wrong with your first company? And at that time, I had to really force myself to sit down and write down what went wrong. And that helped me a lot in actually realizing what I was doing in the wrong way. So that's my favorite.
I would understand that. I think it's admirable. And then another question that was upvoted was, would you want to maybe expand your career to the Middle East?
Yeah, why not? Sure. Absolutely. I love Middle East, and it's a part of my heart. It's a part of my identity as well right now. So definitely, totally open. Oh, I can't hear you.
Did myself for some reason. So the last question we have is, do you see your application to be useful for the spare parts for composite technologies for aerospace, transportation, or shipping industries?
Absolutely. I didn't mention it in my presentation, but if you visit the website, you will see all the possible application of this technology. And it is absolutely great for aerospace, for automotive. It is great for biomedical application, sport industries. So it's very flexible. So it's only a matter of building a small 3D printer or a larger 3D printer, but the system is fully scalable and the application can be varied.
Well, thank you so much, Eleonora. It was a great
You're
presentation. Also, just so everyone knows, all of these videos are being streamed as well to YouTube. So if you want to rewatch anything, you can go back to that later. And we will actually start our next presentation in a little bit. Let me just share my screen again. Our next presentation will be, Ashkan Ovsepian, who is the SIU System Director for Love for 3D is a source of inspiration in SIU system. So do stay tuned for that. But Eleonora, I will say goodbye for now. Also, feel free to reach out to Leonora either at networking or through LinkedIn or any others, especially if you think of any other questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So again, we'll just wait a couple of minutes. Our Ashkan is already here. But we will wait. Welcome, Ashkan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hi. How are you?
Well, thank you. So just a reminder, this presentation will be starting in a couple of moments. I will just let people come in, and this will be Love for 3D is a source of inspiration in SIU system. Also, make sure that you ask any questions you may have in the Q&A section, as you did in the last presentation, and feel free to also ask questions afterwards to any of our panelists if you see them around on another platform. I'm just going to leave it for a couple of minutes as we let people move among the tracks as other presentations finish. Ashkan, would you like to start sharing your presentation?
Sure. I think I shared it already. Can you please check? No?
Oh, you didn't share your screen.
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Do you see it now?
No, are you sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'll share it. Just let me know when you need to switch.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries. Just give me one moment while I pull this up.
Sure.
Just bear with us a moment. We will be starting very soon. Sorry. Sorry, could you just send it to me again? I, for some reason, cannot find it.
Sure. Or let me try to share it again. Maybe it will work. sharing it, but it doesn't work.
It's okay. I have it now. I will just share my screen and we can get started. So
Wonderful.
welcome again to Ashken. Looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very
And
much.
just tell me when to switch. Okay.
Yes,
And reminder,
absolutely.
you can ask any questions you like in the Q&A section.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Women in 3D Printing, for hosting my talk. And I think this is very girly and romantic in a good way presentation, which I give today. So I will be happy to actually share a little bit more professional notes on Q&A session if there are some. And of course, when we are talking about love, we are not talking just about love, because if we are talking about business, we need to be professionals first, and only when we are so, we can do something. But without love, nothing is possible. And I will give you a story about our company, about myself, and will show how that love is helping us to grow. And saying that, I also want to say that normally when we talk about love, we talk about love between humans normally, but actually I think it's more global. And whatever we do in the world, anything, every other second, it should be always covered with love, because there is just one life, and if we are tend to be happy every other second, then it's not worth it. To start, I would like to share some information about our company, so you have an idea who we are now, and then I can tell you the story. The next slide, please. So actually, we are working since 2008, and as soon as we fell in love with 3D in 2013, we are mainly focused on 3D technology. I put the picture of our team because I think this is the greatest value we have, and people always generate whatever happens. So actually, this is just part of our team, and we are growing. So the company profile currently is the following. We have two big divisions. One division is distribution. So we resell different types of equipment, and we support and maintain all of them. And another type of the business is additive manufacturing. And we do have an customer innovation center, where we daily do lots of R&Ds, we do material development, we do part manufacturing, and normally we do produce not less than 25,000 parts per month. So next slide, please. Our company is located in Russia, in Moscow, to be very precise, and we work widely on all former Soviet area, as well as recently, from last year, we started to work in the States. Here I will talk more about SIU System Company, which is located in Russia, and but the concept is the same. So how we started. The next slide, please. First, a little bit of myself. When I was studying at university, and my major is physics, first time I felt that the beauty and love are very important was during one of my classes about like laser physics. And I do remember that professor, he put on the screen the picture of the spectrum, and he asked, "What do you see?" And as soon as it is a like serious subject, I didn't know what to say. And there we were like 30 people, and everyone was saying something very techy, trying to share the wavelength or something like that. And the only thing which was in my mind, that it's so beautiful because this colorful spectrum is amazing. And I didn't respond because I felt shy that I'm saying something wrong because it's over romantic. And it turned out that that was the only right answer. So I think that was the first time when I realized that it's very important to share what you feel. And that is right, because even if it's wrong, then tomorrow, like growing, it will get to the right situation. So when I graduated physics, I realized that my dream is to become an entrepreneur in technological business. We started to work with my university friend, and we were working in different equipment, industrial and innovational. As soon as we got some funding, because we needed to make it ourselves, we started to think what big, beautiful story we can make. And by that time, I heard already once about 3D printing, because my parents, once they traveled to Germany and they saw the part of the engine for Renault Formula One, which was printed on 3D Systems 3D printer, and when they came back, they were so amazed and so inspired that we were talking about that, I think, like months. And when there was a chance to dream within our business, we immediately remembered that story. And by that time, it was 2012. It was the first desktop 3D printer with a price less than $1,000. And we thought that, okay, then this is it. Maybe the 3D printing is entering the world. And it was like only a couple of years later when we realized that actually 3D printing is entering the world only when we, let's say, ambassadors of 3D printers are moving and pushing that technology in every other direction, especially in industries, to make this integration as fast as possible. So we bought this 3D printer. We've been waiting for it as a miracle. And I still strongly believe that this, especially tiny printers, they are a part of the miracle, which we need to share like daily, monthly, every other minute, which we do actually in our innovation center. And we printed a keychain, and we thought, okay, that is a magic. So I still use that keychain. And we decided that we need to become a reseller of 3D printer. And then we chose 3D Systems as a company we want to work with. And we were more than green. So we sent an email that we want to become a reseller. Of course, they invited us for a... it can stay here, actually, and then I will just ask to scroll it. Yeah, thank you very much. And we flew in. I do remember that meeting because I was very weak in English and my hands were shaking. And I think everything what they saw is that like some very green organization, super young, is super inspired by technology, because when they asked us to provide a business plan, it was very far from our organization. So it took us some time to prepare the business plan. And I do understand that we were very dramatically romantic in our business plan, but I think that they saw this love in our eyes and they saw the inspiration. So they let us in. And currently, even this November, like last November, we got a prize for the largest 3D printers integration in the industry, which is aerospace, for the whole 3D system. So actually, we became one of the best partners for the company. We can go to the next slide. And then slowly, we started to work. This photo was showing our first 3D store shop. We opened the offline store in the center of Moscow, which was working 7 days a week from 10 to 10. And this was also like driven by love, because there were so many ways how to enter the market, enter the story. But we thought that it's very important to share whatever we know about the technology. So we printed a lot of parts and we put the printers and we were welcoming each and every one. And that gave a lot of fruits to us, because to be very honest, we didn't know what 3D printing can do. And when we were talking to customer and when we were working on certain, let's call it success story, on certain project, we were learning more and more. And actually, we started to know us better, because before we didn't know what 3D printing can do. Normally, the answer is like, 3D printing can do everything, but like everything is nothing. So we need to be more precise. We started to work with different markets and realized that actually our passion is industry. And then slowly we started to focus on industrial applications. And then slowly, like the major industry became aerospace and healthcare and automotive. And currently we are having I think the largest revenue within the region for these industries, as well as for the additive market overall. And we are learning a lot every day. So I think that the whole our story was 100% inspired by the beauty of additive technology, because we can see layers in growth, and we can see a little bit like romantic mode, because 3D printing lets us think that everything is possible. And when we have that hint in our brain, we can do a lot more than we were thinking. Here we can see some of our projects. I actually tried to put less industrial, more of a beautiful projects, because the pictures are more aesthetical and less NDA, to say so. And actually we can scroll to the next slide. So we started to understand how can we be useful to the customer. And we understood that the key is also, again, we can be very professional. Customer can share the problem and we can try to fix this problem, but customer needs to be fulfilled while talking to us. And this also means that we need to be more human, we need to be more positive, we need to be more loving and inspired by technology. And that's why we converted the type of our business from like regular story to making the core of our business our Customer Innovation Center, which is a facility in Moscow, which is open every other day to everyone. And there we make tours for kids, tours for students, tours for industrial professionals. We make conferences every month. I think there is no single day where we don't have a big number of guests from different industries. And every time they come, we hear their problem. We try to solve their problem, which is actually not a problem, but an opportunity for us, and actually an opportunity for them. And every time they learn with us, we can go to the next slide. Every time they learn with us, we feel that next day they come back with a different task and with a different story, and we go further. And I think what is the most important is that, of course, not every day is perfect. Sometimes we have problems, and sometimes the customer is not happy, or we are not happy, or the reality is so. But if there is something wrong, then we talking to customer. Let's say yesterday we shared our inspiration and our love with customer. Today he still has some of that love, and he can share it back. So actually, I think the beauty of this world, which let's call additive world, is that people are so inspired with what is going on, that they can enjoy every other second and they can support each other. And I think the beauty of additive technology is that there are so many things to fall in love with. First of all, it's the technology. We can go to the next slide. Technology itself, because it's just beautiful. Second is our people, because every time we know another person from the industry, it's always absolutely amazing. By the way, on the left picture, I put the Russian traditional dress figurine lady, fully printed on 3D printer, just to share a little bit of Russian culture, because it's absolutely amazing and super beautiful. And everyone who wants, we are super happy to invite you to show you what we do, how Moscow looks like, and how it works in general, because it's really worth seeing and really worth sharing. Next slide, please. Also, I want to share a little bit of story from the last year. Last year, I think was one of the most challenging years for our company and for me personally, because we started to work on the US market, and I flew to the States in April and stayed there, I think, for almost all the year. And that was the first time in my life when I was separated from my team and vice versa. And of course, there were very complicated moments. And there we started to feel how important is to collaborate and how important is to support each other, and how beautiful that we have such a beautiful team. Because every time when something was very complicated, very simple communication or very simple support, or even look at each other was helping to move forward. And I think that is an absolutely key. Next slide, please. What is also very important, and what we faced, I think everyone in the world, is that 3D printing is helping to change and convert the world in a completely different way. And actually, sometimes the challenges are so high, and 3D printing can really support and help. And we also know that more we are working with 3D, more constructive philosophy we have in our brain, and less destructive we have it in our brain, and that the generation which grew on 3D printing technology, they have a completely different mindset. And we also see it and share it when we are talking to our guests or to our customers. And during COVID time, it was also very beautiful, because the whole additive world started to support everything possible, starting from 3D files, and then we started to understand how 3D can really help the world, and how can we change it. And actually, it gave us more understanding of the freedom of the technology and how fragile actually our world is. So how much we should work and impact and feel the responsibility to make our world a really good place. Can we have a next slide, please? And of course, we do have a lot of projects with animals and with healthcare and the different industries which are really which really need our support. And more and more we understand how 3D printing can, in every little spot, help us to change the world. And changing the world can be a very simple thing. Actually, it just being 1 second better or 1 millimeter better than yesterday, it's more than enough. Or just to think 1 more minute within the day than we were doing yesterday. And I also wanted to share, next slide, please, the photo of our best customers, because actually what we are doing, it's very important, and we are really converting a lot of, saying we, I mean all additive society, yeah. And I'm saying additive because we are talking about additive, but there are many beautiful industries and directions to grow. But always we need to see how can we work with the future generations. And I think the excitement which we can see in their eyes is also completely showing the love and inspiration and the beauty and the kindness, which is really needed in our life. And next slide, please. And now I'll try to share why we need this. Actually, I think it was 2016, I attended Singularity University conference, and we were talking a lot about exponential technologies. And of course, I was happy to be there because 3D printing is an exponential technology. And I was thinking that I will learn a lot more about technological side of the world. And I was absolutely amazed in a fantastically positive way when I learned that actually the key of events is to teach us that we need to stay human, because technology is evolving, and everyone, we are impacting in this evolution. And Tomorrow is always more technological than today. And this is also a huge responsibility, because our hardware, our software can do very destructive things. And even having a very tiny 3D printer in our home, we can both be very productive and very destructive. And the main thing is to learn and remember that the key is love, and that we have only one beautiful planet so far where we can live, and that it's very, very important to stay human. Because if we are not, then our world is in trouble. And whatever beautiful technology we are working on, it's not helping, but the other way around. So I truly believe that whatever we do should be fully covered with love and should be fully covered with kindness. And of course, as I said, we need to stay professionals. Thank you very much.
That was a great presentation. And I see that there's a question. Again, if you have any questions, do feel free to put them in the Q&A section. We still have a few minutes. So the first question is, how about your team? Do you feel their love and passion towards physics or 3D printing?
Yeah, actually, thank you very much for the question. Normally, when we have the customer and he's coming to our facility, or we are visiting customer, the very first thing which they say, the customer says, is that how come it happened that the team is that much in love with the 3D technology? And I think those, like we say, eyes have fire in Russian. That is the key, because then you can, you can inspire them to try, because not everyone wants to try 3D. 3D is a very in the middle of the world thing, because somehow someone thinks that it's a miracle, and then there is a disappointment, and another one thinks that it's another like CNC machine and that nothing is possible. And we need to balance. And the only way we can balance is that we push them in a good way to try. And I am like, I'm having this flag of pushing, I insist in pushing towards additive. So I can say that, yes, team is very much in love with tech. Thankfully, I'm very happy about that.
Well, which is good. That's what makes passion is what makes it, as your presentation clearly showed. Well, in that case, I am not seeing any other questions, so we'll just end a few moments early. Feel free to reach out to, I believe, wait, let me just show this again. The, no, sorry. I don't know why I can never share this one. Here we are. There's her contact information here, and you can get in touch if you think of any questions or anything else. And now, actually, we are at the end of the presentations for now, but we will be restarting soon. I invite everyone to go onto the main stage for networking, which is taking place right now. And we will resume at 4:30 a.m. PST, 7:30 a.m. EST, 1:30 a.m. CET, or 8:30 p.m. BJT. I'll leave this up for a moment for anyone, but feel free to join us on the main stage for the networking portion. In case you have forgotten, you can access it to the side of your screen. And thank you again so much, Ashkan, for your presentation. It was wonderful. And also, anyone who wants to see it again, you will be able to see it on YouTube. So thank
you very much.
Thank you. Let me just take you off the stage. There we go. Okay. Oh.